Hey, it's Adam Zdroik of RotoWire. I'm going to be going over every lineup in the Premier League for Game Week 9. We're coming out of the international break. Going to try and go through all of the injuries and suspension issues going on in the Premier League. That's 20 teams worth ahead of Game Week 9. But first, we got a fresh new intro here for you. All right, there we go. Here we go. RotoWire.com/soccer trial. It's 48-hour trial. You're going to need this over the next month. You're going to need that trial. You're going to need to check it out, see what RotoWire has to offer. We got on the front page here, rotowire.com/soccer. We got FPL rankings are up. I did a betting, some future values last week. Check that out. Fantrax rankings are up. Waiver wire pickups are up. We also got a Premier League best team of the month that we had posted last week as well. Luca Dina on that one. And then we're going to have the usual stuff coming out this week. We have, what do we have? I don't even know. We got DFS stuff. We got betting stuff. The usual stuff is okay. But for this show, I'm going to using our cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial. You can get that cheat sheet and get all that stuff, rotowire.com/soccer trial. It's a 48-hour trial. And then once you're in, if you want to check out our Discord as well, always conversation going on. The conversation has been hot and heavy over the international break, rotowire.com/chat. That is to get into our Discord. But here you go. Here's the cheat sheet. As you can see here, we have all the projected lineups. We have all the injuries and suspensions. We have the odds report. We have the goal scoring odds. There's Haaland, -225, home against Brighton. We got the free kick tracker. We got player stats. We got team conceded stats. We got all you need inside of these. And here you go. This odds report is my favorite thing, though. As you can see, a lot of home favorites. The only massive away favorite, of course, Arsenal are at Chelsea and are a slight favorite, but Manchester United at Sheffield United are one of the lone away favorites there out of the top, that's the top 8 favorites on the slate. But let's get started here. So the difficult thing about this is, okay, we've had 10 days since we've actually heard from the team, since we've heard from managers. So there's a lot of stuff that, okay, the first week of international break, there really isn't a ton of updates. You don't really get a ton of reports from any of the papers even. On Tuesday night, there was a few things that happened in South American play. There's some injuries that popped up. I'm not sure how major they were, but again, I'm talking on a Wednesday. So a Wednesday before game week 9, we're going to get probably, I don't know what the number is, 3 or 4 press conferences, maybe 5 press conferences come in on Thursday, and then the rest will be on Friday. So we'll get a better sense of what's going on for each of these teams. But as you can see in this first one I'm putting up here on Liverpool, Tsimikas is in. Andrew Robertson, he had a scan on Tuesday. We're going to have a little more information on that in the next couple of days, but he had a scan. There is some fear that he may need shoulder surgery. So that is something to keep an eye on here as we get going with Liverpool. So that's the first order of business here. We have Tsimikas in the starting 11 instead of Andrew Robertson. Otherwise, for Liverpool, I put Gravenberch in instead of whoever started last match, if it was Endo or this. This was almost 2 weeks ago that I'm already forgetting who started for Liverpool. It could have been Harvey Elliott, could have been Endo, but Gravenberch, I believe he came on at halftime, and I think he's going to deserve a start here. I think it's his first league start for Liverpool, maybe his first overall start for him, because Curtis Jones is still suspended. We don't have any firm updates on Gakpo, but I don't think he'd start even if available. So we got Diaz and Nunez up front with Salah. And then I'm keeping Joe Matip in the starting 11 over Konate. That'll be something that we'll be monitoring here in the next couple of weeks. But it seems like maybe we'll get, Joe Matip and Konate maybe, rotating between Europa League and league play. So something to keep an eye on there. Everton, we have Idrissa Gueye came back from his heel issue. He was a late scratch, if you remember, in Everton's last match. He played for Senegal a little more than 10 minutes on Monday, I think it was. So Idrissa Gueye is back. And so Jack Harrison got his debut start for Everton. And I think he's going to be, another couple weeks. I think the question that we have with Everton here, the back line has been pretty similar. We have now in the midfield, so Onana started over Gay in that last one because Gay got injured. So we're gonna have Garner, Gay, and Onana as the options in central midfield. Garner, uh, probably more so of a central midfielder than the right-sided, winger, more right-sided midfielder that he opened the season as. But now that Jack Harrison's healthy, that moves Garner inside. So I think that's the main question for Everton, that central midfield spot. Otherwise, it kind of seems like Dan Juma's on, looking on the outside in terms of the starting 11, and then Beto, as kind of what I said a few weeks ago, he's going to be more of the super sub forward, especially if, Calvert-Lewin is healthy. Brentford have a few issues, as you can see from this list. There are questions, so I have them. They're home against Burnley, but because of the injury issues, I have them in a bit of a different look here because they don't actually have a regular left back available to them. So Rico Henry, we know, is out. And then Ben Mee is also another injury. He's going to be coming back. But Aaron Hickey, who has switched from right back to left back in the absence of Rico Henry, he's suspended for this game. So they don't actually have anyone to come on for him. Saman Godosh came on for him. This was last match at a minimum here. So I'm not even sure they can run out their 4-3-3 formation unless they put someone else that has never played left back before at left back. So you could have, Christopher Aguirre playing left back, and then you got Mads Rierslev playing right back. But at that point, it's like, okay, you got a couple guys at fullback who are, playing out of position for them. So that's why I kind of went with this. This is basically the 3-5-2 here, 5-3-2, whatever formation you want to call it. But if I'm starting Samad Godos here because they just have no one else. It just kind of looks a little weird because this guy just doesn't have a ton of starts with them. And it's home against Burnley, something they don't usually do. But I assume, Thomas Frank has gone over this the last week plus. I'm sure he has a better strategy than what I have here. So this will be something to keep an eye on, I guess, just for this game because Hickey is suspended. Otherwise, Hickey also came back from Scotland early over the international break. He did not play in their second match, so there's a possible injury there as well. So this is just a lineup that we don't know. We have questions, I guess. As you can see, I believe it's not going to be Strakosha, so that's probably a mistake on my end. I believe Mark Flecken's going to be back from his illness, so expect Flecken to go there. And otherwise, I guess if Godos doesn't start and it is a 4-3-3, I would say we'll see. We'll see if Keane Lewis Potter is healthy. If Keane Lewis Potter isn't healthy, then there's another question of who's actually starting in the front three. So Brentford looking a little different. They got a bunch of injury issues, more injury issues than they've probably had the last two seasons. Burnley also has some injury issues. We saw in their last match before the break, they had kind of a makeshift back line, and I think they gave up 4 goals against Chelsea in that 4-1 loss. So we have some questions. We got a bunch of the regulars coming back in because I think they had a quick turnaround. It was Monday to Friday, I want to say, or maybe even Tuesday to Friday, Tuesday to Saturday. Tuesday to Saturday. So they had a quick turnaround. So guys like Koleosho and Foster didn't start in that Saturday match against Chelsea just because they're kind of tired, I guess. Otherwise, this is kind of what they've been running out, and we'll see if Al-Dakhil is healthy. We'll see if Jordan Beyer is healthy again. Again, there just hasn't been a ton of updates on these guys, so we don't know what exactly their back line is going to look like. Otherwise, Ekdal, I don't think he's going to be ready. They have a bunch of other guys. Vincent Kompany just isn't great in terms of, talking about injuries. So that's kind of another issue here in terms of this Burnley lineup. In addition to, I don't think we even know what Jordan Beyer's injury is. He was just absent in their last match. So as you can see, Han Delcroix started in that game, and that I think Charlie Taylor actually played center back. Maybe not. So I guess Delcroix played center back, and he was, Delcroix is just more of a fullback. So Nottingham Forest, speaking of injuries, there's just a lot of injuries here. I guess this is what, once the games build up, I can't imagine how many injuries we'll have over, once we get to Boxing Day. But so Serge Aurier was withdrawn from the national team, so we still don't know exactly his status. So he is a question. Gonzalo Montiel picked up something last night, Tuesday night, with Argentina. So he is a doubt. He came off after like 30 minutes or so in that game, and he would be another option to start left back. But we had Harry Tafalo in at left back because we don't know the situation with Ola Aina. We know Nuda Tavares is also injured. So they got a bunch of injuries. And this is what we got right here. So again, a lot of questions. I just feel like I'm talking about teams with just like a bunch of questions, a bunch of injuries, and we don't really know a ton of what's going on here. Awani, we do know Awani's out, so I got Chris Wood up there, and what am I thinking of? Divock Origi. So Divock Origi showed up about a month ago when he signed with Nottingham Forest, and I think he took a team picture. It's out there. He has like a gut. He has like a beer belly. Divock Origi does, and if he was fit, if he was healthy, maybe he got back to full health over the break, kind of thing. I think he would be starting over Chris Wood, but because of how he showed up, I don't think he's going to be starting, but maybe, that changed over the last couple weeks, something like that. Anthony Elanga is also an option to start. We'll see how they line up. This is one of the best matchups of the season. They're at home. I got a 4-3-3 for them with Mangala, Sangare, and Nicolas Dominguez in the midfield. And then the front three there. So, this front three leaves a little bit to be desired. We don't have Awani. We don't have Brennan Johnson there anymore. So, you had some questions there for Nottingham Forest, even on the back line. Though I will say Murillo has gotten a lot of praise for his last couple starts. So I would expect him to remain in there. Luton Town, what do we got for Luton Town? I believe this is kind of what they've been rolling out there. They have a few injuries. We'll see what's going on with Amari Bell. We haven't heard much over the break. If he can't go, it'll again be Tayden Mangi here on the back line with Burke and Lockyer. Both those guys are healthy again. And then Doughty has been really good for Luton Town, at least in terms of just pure crossing the ball in for him. And then Kabore, basically Ryan Giles has kind of lost his spot. I think he started, the first 3 matches of the season, and he's kind of lost that spot since. And then Nakamba is playing next to Mpanzu in the midfield. Mpanzu started the last 3. We could see Ross Barkley, but I feel like if Ross Barkley was in there, he would go in for maybe a Jacob Brown instead. But never know. It could be Nakamba and Ross Barkley in there. Newcastle, I guess the big news with Newcastle is, Sandro Tonali is in this betting scandal in Italy. And so last night, or I guess this morning, he kind of admitted guilt that he bet on matches, but they were AC Milan matches in which he didn't play. I think that's what it was. I could be forgetting it. But Newcastle just released a statement, and they're just like, we have nothing to say. We know that this is going on, but we have no statement, is kind of what they said. So we could see a situation where, like last season, Ivan Toney got a bunch of starts. Basically, he was starting every match until the suspension finally came down. We could get a situation where until the suspension comes down, Tonali is going to be starting in all of these games. Again, we have no idea. We'll see how it turns out. If he does start, it would be for Elliot Anderson in the midfield. Otherwise, Newcastle are getting Anthony Gordon back from his suspension. Isak is the big question. He withdrew from the Sweden national team, so we'll see what his situation is. And then we haven't really heard anything about Sven Botman returning from his knee issue. So if he's ready again, he'll be in for Jamal Lascelles there on the back line. Crystal Palace, man, there's too many injuries here. Crystal Palace, again, another team. We don't have a ton of information on these injuries, but we do know Eze is going to be out. Olise is going to be out. We'll see about Jefferson Lerma. We'll see about Decore. We'll see about a lot of these guys, really. So as you can see from this lineup, there's a lot of questions. Even Joel Ward is a question at right back. Nathaniel Klein got the start there in the last match, but as you can see from this lineup, Edouard returned from his hamstring issue last game, and he started, though that didn't help much. That was a pretty bad scoreless draw against Nottingham Forest in their last game, but like this front 3, Edouard, Ayew, and Mateta, basically they have no one else. These are their main 3 attackers. We could see Jesu Ran, Raksaki actually get a start. That'll be something to keep an eye on. We'll see what the actual injury situation looks like coming from Roy Hodgson during his press conference. Surprisingly, one of the teams just with not many injury issues anymore. Manchester City. John Stones has played in both England matches over the break, so that's 3 matches, and I think in about 10 days he's gotten time. So John Stones is again an option. So we have that for Manchester City. So that just adds to the bodies in the back line. We'll see how they line up. Maybe they're going to go back to the 3-2-4-1. We'll see if that happens. When that happened, John Stones played next to Rodri in the midfield. But with all these guys healthy, they don't have De Bruyne healthy, but they have all these options. Jack Grealish isn't in the starting 11. But in this front four, you got Doku, Alvarez, Foden, Haaland, and then I got Bernardo Silva playing next to Rodri. They still have Matheus Nunes, who kind of played it in that Wolverhampton game, kind of played his way out of the starting 11, I want to say. And then Kovacic is also an option. So there's a lot of choices there for Manchester City coming out of the break. That'll be something once we get going with UEFA play. There will be rotation. Brighton also option for rotation. I believe Cairo Miedema is fine. He did drop from the national team, but I believe he's going to be fine. This is more of a make sure things didn't get worse for him over the international break. I believe he's fine. Tariq Lamptey, maybe more of the question. We don't have a ton of information on that, but if Tariq Lamptey isn't ready, because we also have Estupinian out, if he isn't ready, Solomon March played at left back in that last game. So if that happens, I'm just confirming it was left back and not right back. Yeah, okay. Solomon March played at left back, and then Veltman was at right back. So if that happens, we would have the other guy on the other guy. I'm trying to think of is it Adingra? I think Simon Adingra got the start. Yeah, he went 90 against Liverpool. So that would be the replacement up front. So it would look kind of similar to that Liverpool lineup. And then Batelba also started over Billy Gilmore. So there's an option. And then João Pedro instead of Danny Welbeck. Just a lot of different things here and some injury questions. Again, basically all these teams have some injury questions. Bournemouth, no real changes here, though I am keeping Adam Smith in the starting 11. So he got the start last match. He returned from injury, and then he started against Everton. I'm not sure. Maybe Irola wanted to mix things up. Maybe, Max Aarons wasn't cutting it, something like that. Maybe he had an injury. We'll see what happens with that situation. Adam Smith was last season. They always talked about how much of a leader he was. Now that he's fit and healthy, maybe he's going to, be getting some more starts here. I think Philip Billing's going to be fine, but I couldn't find anything on him over the break. So he's got that questionable mark, I believe. Yeah, he left Denmark with a minor injury. So I think he's going to be fine. But of note here, I got Sinisterra getting his first start for Bournemouth. As you can see, a bunch of appearances off the bench. Basically, over the past month, he is getting talked up a bunch by Irola. It's like, this is someone that we can use, someone that we can need, but we're working up his fitness. So given a couple weeks over the international break, I think he is an option to get the start here. They've been kind of rotating almost every game on this wing, maybe starting opposite of Tavernier. So something to keep an eye on there. Wolverhampton, basically the same squad. Bellegarde, I guess Bellegarde's back from his suspension, but they've been rolling out with this 3-4-3, and it has been working for the most part. So I'm keeping this formation even with Bellegarde back. So you have, Semedo and Aït-Nouri playing on the wings. I believe Aït-Nouri had concussion. So he didn't travel over the break, but I think he's going to be fine as long as that concussion is not lingering. So I got the same squad for Wolverhampton. It's pretty much what they've used the last couple matches. And then Chelsea, another team with a bunch of injuries. I think Nicholas Jackson's going to be fine. I think Disasi is going to be fine as well. There's, because of the French report, talked about Disasi, and it was like thigh tear, whatever wording they use. I think their wording for injuries is a little different over there in France than the English. So now also of note, so we had a bunch of other things that popped out for Chelsea Wednesday morning. So Reece James apparently suffered some kind of setback 10 days ago, so it doesn't seem like he's going to be ready to play. So we got Malo Gusto back from his suspension, back in the starting 11. Nicholas Jackson's fine. Chukwuemeka also suffered a setback. Chaloba also suffered a setback. So we got multiple questions here. Broha also suffered an issue over the international break as well, and he's not 100%. So there are some questions. Though I do have Mudryk back in here because Cole Palmer picked up something over the break as well. But Mudryk has basically gone almost a full 90 in both matches for Ukraine. And he scored on Tuesday. So Mudryk, I got him back in the starting 11. Arsenal, we haven't really heard anything about Saka in the past 10 days since the last game that he missed against Manchester City. So we'll see what happens there. I do have Jorginho in the midfield. It seemed like it worked there, though Thomas Partey is an option again. So I guess we'll see what Arteta wants to do with Thomas Partey. I think that is the question here, because Thomas Partey opened the season playing as a right back. As we know, prior seasons, he was a midfielder. So this could be a situation where it's like, okay, maybe it's Declan Rice and Thomas Partey in the midfield with Odegaard playing a little more forward. So we could have that. I really doubt that, Arteta goes away from Gabriel and Saliba again like he did to open the season. It felt kind of like a mistake, but Zinchenko also wasn't playing early in the season, so that's also why Thomas Partey was in that role, so he could play a little further up as that faux fullback, faux midfielder kind of role. So I guess we would, if anything changed here, maybe, Thomas Partey in for Jorginho, which I think is reasonable. But the fact that Jorginho played pretty solid in what he did against Manchester City, he went 75 minutes there. I think that, maybe he gets to start again. This might be one of my longer shows here. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sheffield United, a lot of injuries that, again, we still don't know a ton about most of them. A lot of these guys who have had injuries for a month plus, Baldock, Max Lowe, these are the fullbacks or their wingbacks even. Ben Osborne, again, we just don't have a ton of information. There hasn't really been anything that came out over the break on any of them. So we could see any of them come back in the starting 11, would replace Luke Thomas or Jaden Bogle, something to keep an eye on. And then they also have the injuries on the back line. John Egan's been out. Basham had the ugly ankle break, I believe it was, just before the break. So we got American Austin Trusty in there. Jack Robinson, Amedovic is still in there. The team that's most struggling in the league right now, kind of getting beat up by everyone. Manchester United, I got Anthony back in the starting 11. There are some rumors. I guess Hoyland talked about San Marino trying to injure him in Tuesday's match when he played with Denmark, but I believe he's good to go. I don't think it's anything to worry about. I don't know who we're getting back from injury. Again, this is another situation, but I do have Almerbat playing in here because Casemiro, I think I benched Casemiro actually, because Casemiro only went 45 minutes in Manchester United's last game. Basically, he was benched in Manchester United's last game. So I feel like maybe Ten Hag is kind of just disappointed in Casemiro a little bit. So I got Amrabat playing kind of the Casemiro with Mason Mount here. So it's a little different than probably everyone else. We'll see if Sergio Reguilon is going to be healthy again, coming back from the break. I believe Varane's going to be good to go. We'll see. Again, it was Lindelof playing at left back with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire at center back in Manchester United's last match. So, again, a lot of questions there, but we'll see if Casemiro actually gets benched here. That was me just kind of taking a chance on it because he was benched and, they came back. What game was that? It wasn't the McTominay game, was it? I guess it was a McTominay game. That was the last time Manchester United played. They got a brace for McTominay in stoppage time. Aston Villa. So as you can note here, I got Zaniolo in the starting 11. So he's not in the same situation as Tonali. I'm not actually sure when he's going to court or when he's speaking in court for all that. He's in a different situation, it seems like, than the other Italian guys. So maybe he doesn't start. If he doesn't start, it'd be Leon Bailey here, I think. Or they could do something a little different. So something to keep an eye on with that. If he's not even back at Aston Villa and not training Thursday or Friday, you just go Leon Bailey here. But again, I haven't heard that this is the same kind of situation with Zaniolo. It seems like if he does get banned, if he does get suspended, it will be for fewer games, though it all depends on when his actual court date is. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Otherwise, it's pretty similar for Aston Villa. They did 3 center backs in their last match against Wolverhampton. I believe that was kind of to match what Wolverhampton were doing. Ended in a 1-1 result there. West Ham, trusty West Ham here. Don't have a ton of injuries and don't have a ton of rotation. Ben Rama basically, once again, he's out of the squad. He can no longer find starts, can no longer find playing time. And when it's working, doesn't really matter. So this is what we got here. I guess last match Souček played so forward that he's now listed as the attacking midfielder. But either way, this is pretty much the same squad that West Ham have been using. And then finally, Monday's match, Tottenham. Home against Fulham. We have Cristiano Romero picked up it was a minor issue Tuesday night with Argentina. He subbed off at halftime. Took a knock to his ankle in the first half, played through it a little bit. I don't think it's overly serious, but he's going to get back. He's going to get back to White Hart Lane Wednesday night, Thursday morning kind of thing. So I think he's going to be fine. But otherwise, Tottenham have been, rolling out pretty much the same starting 11 in a lot of these matches. They don't have midweek games to worry about. They don't have UEFA play to worry about. So I do note, click on the son's name here. He did go 90 in Tuesday's friendly. And there are reports, he's limping off. He's just not 100%. And there are questions like why he did play, why he actually played in that game. And he just said he played for the fans. The fact that he went 90 and could play through the pain just for the fans, I think he's going to be fine for this one. Again, he hasn't gone a full 90 for Tottenham since August. So we'll see how he looks after the break, but I think he's still going to be fine to start. The question is just how many minutes is he going to be ready for? And then Fulham, we have Issa Diop I don't think he's going to be ready here. He hurt a crack in his foot against Sheffield United just before the break. So that's usually not good news. I don't think we've heard actually anything else about his injury, but he hurt a crack in his foot. So I don't think he's going to be, let me just do a quick search here. I don't think he's going to be fine here. But assuming he's not fine, it's going to be Tim Ream and Calvin Bassey. So Calvin Bassey, I believe he got 1 start, picked up a minor issue, and then has been in and out from the bench this season for Fulham, new signing. Could be another start for him here in a tough spot at Tottenham. And then I don't know if Kenny Tete is going to be ready again. I don't think so. But in that last match for Fulham, so Alex Iwobi moved in the starting 11. That moved like Harrison Reed out. So there are a few more options. And then, as I've been saying for the past 2 months, Carlos Vinicius finally got the start over Raul Jimenez. That didn't result in a goal or anything. He had a shot on target. He had a few chances created, but okay. Fulham got their win. They got 3 goals in that game. I don't know. You figure that Vinicius still gets more opportunities here. And then you got Willian and Dick Reed on the wings. Harry Wilson benched, though. Harry Wilson has been in and out at the starting 11 for Dick Reed all season. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. But so many injuries here, so many unknowns. I could do this show Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern with more injury news. But, at that point, the weekend starts for me. I'm not going to be doing the Friday night shows. But that's it. I got a couple comments here. I'll just read. We are back. Do we think Richarlison could get dropped, especially with long travel coming off at half against Luton Town? Yeah, it's possible. I just we'll actually see what it looks like. I mean, if Brennan Johnson has been training, I don't think he's been training. We'll see if he's been training. I guess that is a question. When we look at this Luton Town match, I know I think Richarlison was the player to come on for the injured Neymar in Tuesday's game. So he's healthy. So, I mean, as we can see in this game where he came out for Richarlison, yeah, okay. So Richarlison only went 45 minutes in that Luton Town game because I actually overlooked that Basuma was sent off in that game. So Basuma got a red card. So Højbjerg is actually set for his first start for Tottenham this season. I do have that in there. So, Richarlison only went 45 minutes in that match because Tottenham were down to 10 men. He was replaced by Højbjerg. So I don't think that, Richarlison gets benched here. Travel from, South American countries is a lot, but most of the time it's I kind of overlook it. Some guys will be subbed out kind of thing. They won't get the starts, but I guess we could look at it like, okay, maybe Brennan Johnson has been training for a week. Maybe. I don't think he has, but otherwise, we know Manor Solomon's out. So I don't even know who they would have in place for Richarlison. They'd probably have to change up their starting 11. So again, even then, like this is a Monday match. So, coming from South America for a Monday match is a little easier than, let's say, any of these other games here. Whoever comes from South America in these games. Darwin Nunez scored and played Tuesday for Uruguay. Luis Diaz missed a PK, I believe, for Colombia. McAllister, another guy. So, we could look at it like, okay, these Liverpool guys came from South America. They had matches Tuesday night. But, okay, we look at the schedule here. So, they have the matches Tuesday night. They're probably on a plane Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Wednesday at some point, and then so they're in Liverpool. They're in Liverpool Thursday, and then okay, maybe they take some tests, maybe they get reacclimated to the team, whatever, and then they're in training on Friday, and this is before the Saturday match. I think that's usually what happens. We don't usually see that much rotation because these guys are playing in international matches on Tuesday and that kind of thing. So, maybe I'm wrong here, but I just don't think that it's gonna be massive. We'll get comments from the managers, and Klopp will be like, well, this guy came to the team yesterday and he's going to train today, kind of a thing. And they'll probably be more worried about it than they actually should be. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of rotation because of the international matches. That's usually just how I go into it. But that's all I got here. Predicted lineups, 32 minutes. Oh, man, this is a lot. There's too many injuries here, too many unknowns. But here we go. Rotowire.com/soccer trial is a 48-hour trial to get the cheat sheet that I've been using here and to get all of our stats that we have available at RotoWire. Thanks for watching this. You can find me at Zdroik on Twitter. Also, make sure to follow RotoWire Soccer as we get ramped up for the return of the international break, Premier League content, all other league content, Champions League content. We got it all. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a good, end of the international break here.